My name is Deanne Jackson, and I am a juror in the case of the plaintiff, Mrs. Catherine Salas, against the defendant, Ashford Hospital. The plaintiff, Catherine Salas, claims that her PHI was disclosed to her supervisor without her permission. The hospital distributed an OR schedule to employees via email. It contained her social, her birth date, her age, her residency, her insurance information, and former surgeries, stuff that her supervisor did not need to know. The supervisor was not part of the OR or treatment team, but is said to be a senior administrative position within the facility. Therefore, after reviewing the case of the plaintiff and the defendant, I rule that Mrs. Salas, her PHI was indeed violated under the privacy rule. It was clearly identified that Ashford Hospital released her information to her supervisor without her permission. The question that I pondered was what made Ashford Hospital think that it was okay to distribute an OR schedule to employees via email to people that did not have a need to know of that information. The plaintiff, Mrs. Salas, privacy and confidentiality in accordance with the Health Information Portability Accountability Act, known as HIPAA. This act is to protect patients' health information, and it is the healthcare team's duty as an Ashford Hospital to protect that information. Also, protecting it means not disclosing it to unauthorized personnel. The case did not state what her supervisor's level of senior management authority was. If the person happened to be the HIPAA compliance officer or someone of that sort, that is fine that they can receive the information due to maybe being a hospital administrator and maybe having administrative oversight over the facility, but that information should have probably been de-identified, and not probably, definitely should have been de-identified, and all that extra information should not have been linked to Mrs. Salas. The patient has a right to confidentiality, and Ashford Hospital should have not revealed confidential communications or information without the consent of the patient, unless it was provided for by law or the need to protect the welfare of the individual and or public interest. This was not a factor in this case. The privacy rule was indeed violated by Ashford Hospital, and they should have not revealed confidential communications or information without the consent of the patient. The privacy rule was indeed violated, and the information should have been de-identified. Therefore, again, this is a violation of privacy by people outside her treatment team that were able to clearly see the patient's information and were able to leak it to the surgical event that was about to take place on Mrs. Salas. The patient must sign an authorization of disclosure for her supervisor to receive her protected health information, not just be privy due to the fact of being a senior management position. I find that the defendant, Ashford Hospital, is guilty on all charges and rule in favor in support of the plaintiff, Mrs. Salas. Privacy and confidentiality was clearly violated by the defendant. Thank you.